Hi parents, good afternoon. Welcome to this year's parents workshop. I'm Miss Izzah, and right now I've been informed that, hold on, let me just admit all of us who is in the waiting room. All right. Okay. Now, I've been informed that there are about 100 participants for this slot. So while waiting, let me just brief you of what this workshop is about. All right. So for today, I'll be talking about how to help your child score in PSLE English. Okay, hold on. PSLE English. Now, I've also been informed that some of the parents whose child will be in P5 next year in AY 2024, but please know that while you are taking part and taking interest in this workshop, it shows that you are interested and enthusiastic in your child's academic development, okay? And it is never too early or too late for you to prepare yourself with your child's examination, especially for something big like this PSLE. So for P5 parents, you have like plus minus 2 years to prepare your child. And for the P6 parents, you have about 10 months for oral examination and 1 month extra, which is 11 months for the rest of the English PSLE paper. So I hope that when we end this workshop, you will get fruitful insights and some tips on how to help your child score in PSLE English. Okay, all right. Now, before we dive in further, let me just show you the overview of our workshop today. So we'll go clockwise direction. So the first one, I'll be talking about the PSLE format. Second one is the paper 4, oral communication. And then paper 1, writing, which consists of situational and continuous writing. And last but not least, the paper 2, which consists of booklet A and booklet B. Okay, now moving on to the PSLE format. Okay, now as you can see here, so candidate, sorry, I have to admit, okay. So as you can see here for the format, candidates will be assessed in the following areas. So we have 4 papers here. Paper 1, writing. Paper 2, language use and comprehension. Paper 3, listening comprehension. And paper 4, oral communication. Now let's have a look at the component. So for writing, as I mentioned just now, we have situational writing and continuous writing. So these take up 27.5% of the whole PSLE English paper. And then for paper 2, we have booklet A, which consists of these 4 components. And then booklet B consists of 5 components, which take up the majority of the PSLE English paper, 47.5. And then for listening comprehension, I won't say this is the easiest one, but it is less tricky compared to the other 3. It will take up only 10%. And then paper 4, oral communication, which has the reading aloud part, and then stimulus-based conversation, which will covers 15% of the whole English paper. Okay, now that we have already know the exam format, let us go through one by one. Okay, so this one for oral, paper 4, which will get your child 15%. So this is what the assessment objective of English PSLE. These students, your child will be assessed based on these 4 criteria. Okay, so A01, read with good pronunciation, clear articulation, and appropriate intonation in order to convey the information, ideas, and feelings in the passage. Okay, AO2, produce a well-paced, fluent reading of a passage. AO3, express their personal opinions, ideas, and experiences clearly and effectively in conversing with the examiner. And then AO4, speak fluently with grammatical accuracy using a range of appropriate vocabulary and structures. So as I mentioned before, there are two components for oral. Now we'll go through the first one, the reading passage. So reading passage, your child will be assessed based on this AO1 and AO2. So they have to read the passage with good pronunciation, clear articulation, and appropriate intonation, as well as produce a well-paced, fluent reading of passage. Now, let's see what is the problem for reading passage. You see, I think this is when the students are overconfident, most probably because they have been reading and communicating in English for as long as they can remember. So when they see like this one short passage, they tend to get, overconfident because they know what are the meaning, what the passage is about. Okay, for instance, like one of my classes, I was giving one of the students a short passage based on the past year papers. I think she has, gone through the passage before, but when I asked her to read, I could say she lost most of her marks because while she's good in the pronunciation, but her pace is quite fast because when I asked why did you read like that based on her recording, and she said because I get too cocky because I've already know what will be the next sentences. So when she discovered that she did some mistakes, like she went with awkward pauses, like when she mispronounced some words, she lost her confidence in reading the passage. So that is what we're trying to avoid. And then what I said to her is, it's okay because this is still a practice for you, but please do not do that during the day, okay, during your oral examination day. Okay, so how to avoid that overconfident feel. Okay, now this is the original PSLE paper. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is from 2021, reading aloud passage. So now let's have a look at this. I will give you about a minute to familiarize yourself with the passage. All right. Okay, so as you can see here, there are full stop, there are comma, there are exclamation mark. So what your child should do is they should pause when they see these signs, okay? For example, his teacher, pause, Miss Amina, pause, had warned him sternly that he would not allow to represent the class, and so on and so on. Okay, you have to remind your child that these signs has reasons why they are there. Okay, for example here, his teacher, Miss Amina, means the passage wanted to introduce the teacher. Okay, his teacher, Miss Amina. So if you read the sentence without pausing, it would be meaningless. All right. Okay, other than that, make sure that you have different intonation for different, you have to have different intonation for your dialogue, okay? So for example here, make sure you sleep early tonight. So this is like some sort of an instruction or as a reminder. And then you have to use different intonation for this dialogue and then for this reading passage so that the examiners could realize or make it clear that the make sure you sleep early tonight is the dialogue, and your other intonation is for your reading passage. Okay? All right. So another tips is, what you can do is, I think this is like a minimum effort and maximum result. So this is what I get from my colleague. She did this with her daughter. I think she has set for her PSLE, and my colleague mentioned that her reading has improved a lot. Okay, what she did was she asked the daughter to WhatsApp audio her every day for about 2 minutes. You just have to find like one short passage and then ask your child to record the reading and then send it to you. Okay. For example, just take out any of the short passage. You can do it every day, the same passage, or even do it weekly, like one passage for 1 week, and then you can see the improvement. Okay. For example, the day one, your child has no intonation, all the reading is monotonous, but by day 7, he or she could have improved a lot in terms of pronunciation, intonation, and the pace. Okay, you can try to do that. And then the other tip is you can ask them to read like newspaper or even articles together with you. So it's like some sort of a bonding session between you and your child. Okay. Now, let's have a look at the stimulus-based conversation. Okay, so for stimulus-based conversation, what your child will be assessed is how they can express their personal opinions, ideas, and experiences clearly and effectively, and whether they can speak fluently with grammatical accuracy and using a range of appropriate vocabulary and structures. Okay. Now, actually, there are a lot of methods that you can use to, embed your child's ways of communication. Okay, this can be done on a daily basis. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of methods, but I think this one would be the easiest for you yourself and your child to understand. Okay, which is the PEEL method, PEEL method. Okay, so the first one is the point. Second one is the explanation. Third one, the second E would be experience or opinion. And last but not least, the link. Okay. Now I'm going to show you the 2021 PSLE question, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to familiarize yourself with this poster, and as well as the prompts or questions that followed with the picture, right? Okay. I'm just going to continue. Okay, now as you can see here for the poster, so you can see the girl is sleeping on the bed, and then there's an alarm, 6 a.m., and then there's a important note on her notice board. It says captain's ball competition tomorrow. Wake me up at 6 a.m. Okay, now this picture will be given to your child during the PSLE exam, but not these prompts. Okay, so during that day, during the oral examination day, they will be given only this. So your child has only have about like 5 minutes to come up with their opinions, their ideas for this photo. And what they should do is first step is to identify the theme. Okay, from the looks of it, it could be, or I can conclude that the theme is about family or school, and the subtopic is everyday life. Okay, so this happens every day. Okay? All right. Now, what can this peel method do? The point, explain, experience, and link. This could avoid your child to have awkward pauses like or even worse, when the examiners, there will be two examiners for this PSLE exam. It's even worse when the examiners ask your child, do you have something else to say? You have something else to add? Because your child do not have the ideas or organize their ideas properly. Okay, so this is when the peel method will help your child. Okay, now let's have a look at the question. So there will be 3 questions. So question A, look at the picture. Are you like the girl in the picture? Why and why not? And what has the girl done so that she would wake up early? Okay, B, if you could choose, what time would you like school to start and end, and why? And was there a time when you were late or almost late for school? Tell us about it. Last but not least, do you have enough sleep every day? Why and why not? And what is the one thing you would do before you sleep and why? Now, let's have a look at question A. We're going to go to the next slide. Okay, let's have a look at question A. Look at the picture. So this is the biggest tip you can see. Okay, so question A means you have to answer or you have to look only at the picture. So the answer will be only based on the picture. Okay, so are you like the girl in the picture? Why and why not, or why not? Okay, this is the sample of the answer key for this question A. Okay, let me just move to the next slide so you can see how I implement the peel method in the answer key. So you see here, A. Look at the picture. Are you like the girl in the picture? Why and why not? So point. Point means whether you agree or you disagree with the point. Okay. So the answer key answered yes, I am like the girl in the picture as I have to depend on my mother to ensure I wake up on time. So this is the point of question A, okay? And then E, moving on to the explanation. Why? Why is she like the girl in the picture? Because I am a quite heavy sleeper. I usually have to set multiple alarms, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then if I fail to get up after my alarms have rung, she will check on me and shake me awake so that I won't be late. So that is the explanation. And then on to the experience or opinion. So you see, she mentioned about the girl has put up a note on a cardboard next to her bed to inform someone, most probably her parents, to wake her up if she does not wake up on time so that she won't miss her captain's ball competition. Okay, so this is the experience, the next E, the second E, as well as the link, so that she does not wake up on time so that she won't miss her captain's balls competition. So every answer, every line of this answer is related to this picture. Okay, so she has the point, the explanation, and as well as the opinion or experience together with the link to the question A. Okay, now let's move on to question B. So I did not put the picture here because question B does not related to the photos anymore. Okay, usually question B will ask you about your own personal opinion and experience. Okay, now let's have a look at question B. If you could choose, what time would you like school to start and end, and why? Was there a time when you were late or almost late for school? Tell us about it. As I mentioned, this question will be based on your opinion or experience. Okay, now let's have a look at the peel method. So point. So I would want school to start early in the morning at around 7 a.m. and early in the afternoon at around 1 p.m. So why? So these two paragraphs are the explanation for her point. Okay, so after school, she can head immediately to have lunch, can head home immediately to have lunch, and then starting school early means that we can end school early too. This means I have more time during the day to do what I want, such as going to the park, doing her hobbies, spending time with her friends, and then blah blah blah. Even though I would like the school to start and end early, the fact that I am always a heavy sleeper means that I am always struggle to get up on time for school. Okay, and then last one is her. This is the explanation, and then the last paragraph or the last a few sentences would be her opinion or experiences together with the link. Okay, so a few months ago I woke up late and missed the school bus, so it means that she is talking about her own experience, and then link it back to the question. But at the end she managed to make it in the to the front gates just in time for assembly. So she answered this question. Okay, now moving on to question C. So question C, okay, question A is about the picture, question B is about the personal experience or opinion of your child, and then C usually would be do you have, or would you not, or even imagine. Okay, imagine questions. Okay, so C, do you have enough sleeps every night? Why and why not? Or why not? And what is one thing you do before you sleep and why? So this is the answer key. Let's get through the peel method. Okay, so the point is I usually get 8 hours of sleep every night, and then to the explanation. Well, this is the recommended number of hours to sleep, blah blah blah. And then at the end, I normally sip a hot of chamomile tea. Then experience. She mentioned about experience. So my parents says that chamomile can help us relax and sleep better. I find it rather soothing to smell the aroma of the chamomile flowers. So she gives out opinion of what she thinks about the chamomile tea, right? And then last but not least, she linked it back to question C. So what is the one thing you do before you sleep and why? So you see, but I enjoy it and look forward to having a cup every night. So before she goes to sleep, she would, have a cup every night, have a cup of chamomile tea every night. Okay. Now, other than what I have just mentioned, the other tips are, I think I could probably think of two. The first one is you can enact or implement this pill method to your child for your everyday conversation. Okay, usually when they just came back from the school, you will ask how was school, and then they would only say yeah good, all right, okay, too many homework, just that. So they will just full stop. They will do their things, and you would do your things without any further elaboration of what they did in the school. So what you can do is you can use this pill method for your everyday conversation. So how was school? When she say okay, yeah, good and everything, then you can ask them, is there any homework? How was the food during recess? How was the teacher? Was your friends be kind to you? Something like that, so that they can give them their points, they can explain, they can give their experiences throughout their school hours, and then link it back to whether they have enjoyed their school journey or not. All right. And then last but not least, you yourself, you can answer your child's question based on this pill method. Okay, for example, so mom, why do you like your job? So you can use the point. If you say you love your job, you can give explanation to why you love your job, and then give your experience, and then link it back to the question. All right. Now, oh, by the way, since there are quite a lot of you. I might miss some of the issues that you feel you want me to address. Feel free to just drop any question on the chat box, and if I don't have the time to answer it now during the workshop, I will contact you through your WhatsApp or your email. Okay, now moving on to the writing part. So writing will be paper 1. It takes up 27.5% of the PSLE exam. So what students will be assessed is based on this A01 until A05, okay? To write to suit purpose, audience, context in a way that is clear and effective. This is for situational writing, which I will be covering next. And then use appropriate register and tone in variety of texts. And then generate and select relevant ideas, organizing and expressing them in a coherent and cohesive manner. Use correct grammar, spelling, and punctuation, and use a variety of vocabulary appropriately with clarity and precision. Okay. Next, okay, I know that writing can be very stressful and it can be intimidating. Even I myself, if I have to write, certain number of words, it could be quite tiring because you have to write it in pen and papers, and you have to come up with ideas in a short span of time. So it can be quite intimidating. So what you have to do is you can support your child in the process of writing. Okay, so now let's go with the first writing, situational writing. So the full mark is 15 marks, so 6 marks for content and 9 for language. Okay, the first part A01 is for the situational writing. Okay, and next A02 and A05 could be it would be about situational writing as well as continuous writing. Okay, now let's have a look at one of the materials that we produce in EduFriend for P6 English Mastery Program. Okay, so these are the poster. It's about stop dengue. So these are all the points of the fact of dengue. What happened if the virus is passed on to a healthy person, and what a person can feel or experience if they have been diagnosed with dengue fever. And then what can we do how should we take part to prevent the spreading of dengue? Okay, so now let's have a look at the task. Okay, your task, imagine that you are Karina. Write an email to your best friend Farah to share the information on the brochure, since she and her family are going away for a holiday. Okay, so you are to refer to the picture and information on the previous page of your letter. Sorry, it should be email. Okay, so in your letter, include the following points. Okay, so this is the tricky part. Even though this has only 5 bullets, your child should have six points in total for their writing. Okay, even though there are 5, they should be able to discover another 1 points. Okay, now let's have a look at my answer key. Okay, so like I mentioned before, for situational writing, we have students will be assessed based on this right to suit purpose, audience, and context, right? So the biggest tips of situational writing is your child should know their PAC. PAC here stands for purpose, audience, and context. Okay, so now let's have a look again at your task. Imagine you are Karina, which is Karina is you, so you don't sign off with your name, but you need to sign off with the name of Karina. And then you is the writer, Karina is the writer, and then write an email to your best friend, Farah, which is the audience of your writing. to share the information on the brochures since she and her family are going away for a long holiday soon. So the purpose is to share the information on the brochure to Farah and her family. Okay, so in your letter, which supposedly to be in your email, which is the context, include the following points. So now, we have for letters and emails, we have formal and informal. And usually when you write to your pen pal, you write to your cousin, best friend, it would be an informal email. So you don't have to be so formal about it, but it's not necessary for you to add things that is not included in the brochure. All right. So now there are 5 bullets. Yeah. Now, number 1, what someone with the dengue virus will suffer from. So this is point 1. Okay. So your child should be able to notice or identify the answer for number 1, which is this one. Okay. So a person who is infected can experience high fever, blah blah blah, muscle aches and joint pains. Okay. So point number 2, which is bullet 2, what your best friend should do to the water in her vases. Okay. So number 2 is here, changing the water on alternate days. Then bullet 3, which means point 3, how storage containers should be kept, turning over all storage containers. And then number 4, you see bullet number 4 that has 2 points. So, which means bullet 4 contains point 4 and 5. So 2 actions your best friend should take before leaving for her holiday. So cover all toilet bowls and then seal off overflow pipe in the toilet. So if in the task mention 2 actions and you only provide them with 1 action, you will lose mark, which is you will lose 1 mark, which makes your writing will get 5 out of 6 for the content. Okay. And then last but not least, the last bullet, what your best friend can do to get more information about dengue prevention. So number 6, she can call the hotline or visit the website. All right. So this is the answer key. Like the task mentioned, you can rearrange your points as long as it has 6 points altogether. So dear Farah, how is the preparation going? So the first point would be point number 4. And then proceed to number 3, number 5, number 2, and number 1. And last but not least, please remind your child not to forget to sign off. Okay? So sign off is important here. So when you know the name of your audience, for example here, Karina knows that she is going to write to Farah. Farah is her best friend. So you will put here yours sincerely. Okay? So when you do not know the name of your audience, let's say when you start off your email or letter, you say, Dear Sir or Madam, Dear Principal of Pasir Ris Primary School. So you're not sure the name of your audience, you have to put yours faithfully, okay? So that will differentiate your context, okay? Whether you know the audience or not, right? Okay. Now, moving on to the continuous writing. So this takes up 40 marks, 20 marks for content and 20 marks for language. And as I mentioned before, AO2 until AO5 is related closely to continuous writing. Now, let's have a look at the question, okay? So continuous writing, 40 marks. So write a composition of at least 150 words about a good intention that went wrong. Okay, so it mentioned here that at least 150 words, but I would highly recommend you to ask your child to write more than 150 words. It could be double the word, or even 400 words up to 500 words, because 150 words, you will not be able to cover all these tips that I am about to share with you. Okay, so now the pictures are provided to help you to think about this topic. Okay, so there are 3 pictures here: fire extinguisher, a dog, and then a man who is currently cycling. Okay, so your composition should be based on one or more of these pictures, and consider the following points when you plan your composition. So what was the good intention and how did it go wrong? Okay, so usually my student would choose one of the pictures. So I think because it would be easier for them to expand their ideas, but it should it will be okay if your child choose all 3 if they have the idea and then can elaborate more on the essay. Okay, so now tips for continuous writing. So I have 5. So you should introduce your characters, and then introduce the first problem, and then introduce conflict, last but not least, resolution and conclusion. So usually what the students would do is they just introduce character, whether they write the story about their first person point of view, and then about their mother, depending on the essay, sorry. And then they introduce the first problem, but they did not include the conflict. Okay, like what recently I just watched previous Paris workshop, and then one of the presenters mentioned that usually this for example the title is some lost and found. Just imagine that the title is lost and found, and then your child found a wallet, and then the first problem is whether he or she wanted to give it to the police or just use the money to buy some PS5 game or some Nintendo console. So that is when the conflict came in. Okay, so the Nintendo part is the conflict. So you can expand and elaborate your essay to be lengthier, and then that is when you can get at least 15 for your content, and then for the language. Okay, then the resolution. Sorry, can you hear me clearly? Because I just got the notification of my internet is not stable. All right, okay, then came in the resolution and conclusion. Okay, now let me show you the answer key for this one, and then I'm going to show you all the tips that I can find in the answer key. So this is the answer key. As you can see, I think this is plus minus 4 to 500 words. You see here, this is the introduction. I'm going to show you together with the tips. Okay, so this is the introduction. I know that 150 words before we start writing, 150 words can be quite lengthy, that you are not sure what are you going to talk about. But as you write, 150 words are not enough for you to introduce your character, introduce your first problem, your conflict, and how you manage to find solution for the problem, and then your conclusion. Okay, so as you can see here, during the introduction, the writer explained about where the story took place. Okay, the setting. So the park was welcoming. So the setting here is the writer is at the park. So I made way to the point. I made my way to the point. Feeding the swans was relaxing, and I needed to unwind from the stress of revising for the upcoming examination. Okay, so usually introduction, one line of introduction is just enough. Okay, you don't have to come up with a lengthy introduction, but when it comes to the most important part, like introducing characters, introducing conflict, you just give one short paragraph. Okay, so now what the writer did was introduce the first character, which is the swans. Then the second character would be the dog, and then the writer him or herself. Okay, now as you can see here, rather than just pointing to the swan, the writer used this one method of show don't tell. It means that the method is used to make the readers to feel that they are in the scene together with the story. Okay, so as you can see here, the graceful swans look so peaceful, their long necks curving like on upside down U. So you can imagine that their necks are curvy and then in a U shape. So you can imagine, like you can see the swan is in front of you. Okay, and then the writer introduced the problem. Okay, as you can see here, a sound interrupted my reverie. What was that? I turned in its direction and then I saw it. Its tongue flickered. The snake was gliding down the tree trunk towards the sleeping dog. Okay, so this is the second character, and then the third character is a dog. So the problem, and then the writer introduced the problem. What is the problem? The writer saw the snake gliding down the tree trunk towards the sleeping dog, and then came the conflict. So the writer wanted to throw one pebble to the dog, hinting that there was a snake above him. But you see, bullseye, the pebble hit the dog on the head near his right ear. Having been rudely awakened, it growled and fixed its eye on me. The hair on the back of my neck stood as the dog bared its teeth at me. As it drew itself to its full height, I gulped. It was a big dog and it was furious. You see, he has a good intention, but it turns the wrong way. Okay. Now, other than that, you have to remind your child to include descriptive language, like I mentioned before. Show, don't tell. So you have to describe the situation so that the readers or even the examiners you will think that this story is interesting. It will grab their attention. Okay, you see, I flew past trees and bushes, jumped over a log and slid down a slope to escape from the terrifying canyon. Fear gave me wings and I swerved onto a path running faster than I ever did during those 1.6-kilometer runs for my school's fitness test. All this is the description of how he ran away from the dog rather than just I ran away and then I go home. You see, this could stretch your child's essay. This could mean your child could get higher marks because of this descriptive language. Okay, then the resolution. Once he has run, and then fear gave me wings and whatnot, and then the resolution. A cyclist was coming down the path towards me, and then he saw some boys playing with each other, trying to knock each other off the bars. They reminded me of those gladiator-style reality shows on television, and suddenly one of the boys yelled out, "Get over here, quick!" Okay, so this is the resolution. All right. Now, as you can see here, one of another tips is the story needs to be in past tense, okay? Because all of it has already happened. But for dialogue, it should be in present tense, okay? So everything would be in past tense, ed, has, had, ed, but the dialogue would be in present tense, okay? And then last but not least, for the conclusion, don't forget to state the title in the conclusion so that the examiner knows that you are still on the right track. okay, you know how to link it back to the title. And then the conclusion, it could be a fact or humor, okay? Okay, let me show you again. So about the dog, you have to mention it clearly in the essay so that the examiners know that you make use of the picture. Where can you find that the writer described about the dog? It's around here. A dog lay in front of the tree, and then the pebble hit the dog on the head near its right ear. It's not just, for example, I saw a dog and then there's just that, but you are using a picture of the dog in the essay. You chose the picture, then you have to describe it, okay? And this is an important thing to remind your child. Always include the title in the last section of your passage so that the examiners know that you are still talking about the whole story is about the title. Okay, state the title in the conclusion. Okay, now moving on to the paper 2. Okay, language use and comprehension, paper 2, 47.5%. Okay, what students will be assessed is how students can demonstrate comprehension of range of text and at the literal and inferential levels, show understanding of implied meaning, make judgment and evaluation by reading or viewing closely and critically, and show understanding of how contextual use of lexical and grammatical items shapes meaning. Last but not least, demonstrate the correct use of grammar, spelling, punctuation, and add the appropriate use of vocabulary in given context. This A01 until A04 is the mixture of booklet A and booklet B. And for this, the first thing you need to do is figure out which part of or which booklet that your child find it challenging or they are struggling to score. All right. Okay, now then when you have discovered what they struggle with, you can, ask them to practice, ask them to focus more or give them extra practice for the parts that they find challenging. Okay, so now let's have a look at paper 2 component. Okay, so for booklet A, we have grammar. This is an MCQ question. Vocabulary, MCQ as well. Vocabulary clues and visual text comprehension. So I'll go through one by one. And then for booklet B, we have grammar clues, editing for spelling and grammar, comprehension clues, synthesis and transformation, and last but not least, comprehension open-ended. Okay, let's go through the booklet A, grammar part. Okay, grammar part, we have 10 questions. Usually it will go from the easiest to the difficult one. Easiest would mean something about present tense like is, am, are, was, something like that. But what you have to do for this grammar section is read through and scrutinize the question entirely, and then cancel out options that are clearly incorrect. Okay, so for example, so do you have any idea what she blank at this time tomorrow? So the clue here is tomorrow, something that is not, that has not happened. Okay, so the answer 1 has done, will be doing, was doing, and has been doing. Okay, so you can find the answer here, will be doing, because the question refers to something that will be happening in a particular time in the future, which is tomorrow. Okay, because has done means past tense, will be doing in the future, was doing past tense as well, has been doing is before, and then currently still doing it. All right. Okay. Now for vocabulary, same as grammar, cancel out options that are clearly incorrect. And usually this vocabulary, it's about, it is closely related to synonyms, or like other words that you can use for the underlying word. Okay, so for example, other words that you can use when you see these contextual clues. Okay, so contextual clues is a clues that you can find that is in this the same sentence that you can find to help that you can use to help find your answer. Okay, for example, the water in the pond was so blank that we could not see the fish clearly. So it means that the water is super dirty and it is cloudy. Okay, so dim we usually use it to describe lights. So dull is puda, right? Like fading, like not colorful. Misty is like hazy, and then murky. And then the correct answer is murky, which is the best way to describe the condition of the water in the pond. Which murky, in another word, is dark and gloomy, as we could not see the fish clearly. So when your child do not know any of the meaning here, they can find the answer based from the next sentences or before the sentences before the answer. All right. Then moving on to vocabulary clues. Okay, sorry, I mixed up the vocabulary with vocabulary clues. Like I mentioned before, about the synonym. So usually vocabulary clues is about the synonym, where for example, elegantly, what are the other words for elegantly? Okay, for instance here, I watched closely as 8 killer whales glided through the water right before my eyes, taking turns elegantly break the water surface to display their characteristic black and white colors. Okay, so elegantly is another word for gracefully. So gracefully here is the closest meaning to elegantly, right? Now you have to look at this word, the underlined word, and then you have to find the closest meaning to the underlined word here. All right. Now for visual text comprehension, I usually tell my students that this is where you can score your paper 2, because out of 1 to 8 question, all answers can be found in the poster. Okay, usually there are this one I just crop out the other 2 posters, because you can find the answer of this question in this poster, but I'll just going to zoom in. Okay, so study this flyer carefully and then answer question 1 to 8. Okay, let's fly a kite. Okay, now let's have a look at the question. If it rains on the day of the event, okay, now you just have to look at the poster. You will definitely find the answer, okay? So here, it says alternative event day in case of wet weather, Saturday, 26th of July. So the answer is 1, the event will be postponed. Okay, you can always find the answer in the poster. So you have to just ask your child to read carefully, to read the poster carefully, to familiarize themselves with the poster carefully, and then highlight whatever words that they think it's important for them to find the answer. Okay. And then I think grammar clues is booklet B. Okay, so for booklet B, it is quite tricky compared to booklet A, because they need to come up with their own answer. So for grammar clues here, this is I understand that students are running out of time. They don't have that much time to read the entire instructions, but this is super important because it's stated here that from the list of words given, choose the most suitable word for each blank and write its letter in the blank, not the answer. Okay, for example here, let's say number 1, the answer is A. Not a soul remind your child not to type N, not to type the answer, but to type its letter. All right. So, for example, feeling a sudden chill, Mr. Abu quickly got into his car and sped off. The answer is H. So your child should put H here, not off. All right. Okay, now moving on to the editing for spelling and grammar. So correct each word in bold for spelling and underlined word for grammar. So when you see underline means they have to correct it. They have to correct the word for grammar. And then for bold one is the spelling. Okay, so water supplies are drying up in an alarm rate in Singapore, which we know the answer is alarming. So you have to ask your child to write alarming here. And then Professor Biswas, a renowned scientist in water management. Okay, so renowned here obviously spelled wrongly. And what you need to do is ask the child to spell it correctly, RENOWNENT. And then this is another tips. So if you see ED here or the misspelling word is in ING or ED, you have to make sure to tell your child that you have to spell the correct word with the ED or ING as well. Okay, so not just renowned without ED, you have to spell the ED as well. Okay, as well as this efficient, so EFFICIENT. Okay, for comprehension clause, this has no answer. Your child have to figure it out by themselves, and this is when all the readings come in handy. Okay, because for comprehension clause, it could be about anything. It could be about recycling, it could be about culture, it could be about festivals, it could be about photography. We wouldn't know what exactly they are going to talk about. Okay, so what can you do for this kind of question is finding clues in the passage and understand the passage as a whole. And usually for this comprehension clause, they will be asking about phrasal verbs. Okay, for example, everyone loves it. Practically, blank world loves it. So if everyone loves it means practically the whole world loves it. And do you know what I am talking about? And the answer is chocolate. So what is chocolate? Okay. And then in his latest book, Chocolate Bliss, is selling like cakes. So this is an idiom. Is selling like hot cakes. And nearly all 5,000 copies has been sold out. Where we know sold out is a phrasal verb. And then the biggest tips for comprehension clause is it should be only one word. Okay, fill in a blank with a suitable word, only one word. Okay, not more than one. So if your child put 2 words here means minus mark. All right. Okay, I think this is the last two. Okay, synthesis and transformation. Okay, synthesis and transformation is where your child need to combine 2 sentences into one sentence without changing its original meaning. Okay, now let's have a look at this example. For instance, due to indicates a cause or reason, and it is normally put in front of the clause that expresses the cause. Okay, so for example, Grandma Jen was anxious about her checkup, which is the cause, and she could not sleep, which is the effect. And then it should be, and the answer should be, due to her anxiety about the checkup, comma, Grandma Jen could not sleep. So this is 2 sentences. Your child need to combine it to make it 1 sentences without changing its meaning, right? And then last but not least, comprehension open-ended. Same as comprehension open text, visual text, you can find all the answers in the text itself. Okay, for example here, What was Bethany's ambition? Okay, you can see here. You see, Bethany was sponsored by Rip Curl, a surfboard company, and was making plans to become a professional surfer. So the answer is Bethany's ambition is to become a professional surfer. And then next tip is when you see these 2 marks, usually they will need 2 points for your answer. Okay, so where were Bethany's parents on the fateful morning? Explain why. So usually her mother and father were there too, but Bethany's father was scheduled for knee surgery, point number 1, and was already at the hospital. And usually for this comprehension open-ended, for the next 5 questions, they will provide, like, for example, what was Bethany's ambition in line 5 to 10. So your child will need to focus between line 5 to line 10 only. So and you will definitely find the answer. You don't have to check between the other lines. All right. So sorry, I take up too much of your time. It's already 1:31. So I think that's about it, and it's time for Q&A session. Do you have anything to ask or to clear off? Because if not, I will just end it here. And then yeah, thank you so much. I hope you have gained fruitful insight and discussion with me. Thank you.